pastor here in Pensacola, Florida for some 33 years. I'm the husband of one. I'm the three and the grandfather of six. And my foray into presidential politics was really unexpected. It wasn't something that I had planned to do. I've been a member of the Constitution Party since 2004. I was their vice presidential candidate back in that election, and that was a shock and a surprise that I was asked to do that. And then there was a delegation within the party that encouraged me to seek the party's nomination for president this year, and I wasn't sure that that's what I should do, to be honest with you, and I really prayed and thought about it and consulted with my family, my church, etc. And then finally, God showed me that this is what He wanted me to do. So we put ourselves in nomination, and Alan Keyes was also trying to obtain the nomination for the Constitution Party. And at the end of the day, though, the delegates chose me by a vote of 74% to 24% for Alan Keyes. So here I am.
All right. Well, I think I want to start by asking you a question I think is on everyone's mind, and that is the war in Iraq. Do you think it was a mistake going into Iraq, and what do you think we should do now 5 years later?
Right. The answer to the first question is yes, it was a mistake. I opposed the preemptive invasion of Iraq back when it occurred in 2003, and obviously we are there now. So the question is, what do we do to get our troops home? I think, first of all, we have to have a president that has the determination to bring our troops home. I don't see any of the three major candidates, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, or John McCain, as having that determination. I believe that they pretty much want to do the bidding of the United Nations and the other globalists who see our troops as the personal militia for the UN. And I think that they are going to pretty much do what the globalists would have them do. I, on the other hand, believe that we should only send troops for that which is directly related to the security and the safety of the United States of America. We must fight wars constitutionally, lawfully, and I would do that as Commander-in-Chief. That is a certainty. Now, getting out of Iraq, first of all, you have to have the will to do it. I would have the will to do it. It would take a very determined and detailed plan, of course, to bring that many troops, including our civilian personnel that are over there, back home. So this would be something that would take time. There's no question about it. You can't foolishly say we're going to come home tomorrow. It wouldn't happen. But what could happen tomorrow is the order to select the plan, to make the determination that would be necessary to start the process of bringing our troops home. That's exactly what I would do.
Pastor Baldwin, good morning to you, sir.
Yes.
Do you feel that there is a behind-the-scenes conceited effort on behalf of global elitists to first create a North American Union as we witness a complete lack of regard to our borders and sovereignty and a new world order?
I don't think there's any question about that. You remember George Bush Sr. was the first one to publicly use that term, New World Order. And ever since then, I think there's been a concerted effort to merge America into a regional government. And I think the North American community, or as you call it, the North American Union, is very well in progress. The pattern for this is already in place, of course. Several years ago, the European states came together and they called it the European Community, and then later evolved to the European Union as we know it today. They even have their own currency, as you know. The individual currencies of the European states have been replaced with the European Union. That's what they desire for North America. They want to merge the United States with Canada and Mexico into a hemispheric entity. And they want to have a currency that would be recognized as a North American currency, which would be called the Amero. The North American Union is already being built. The NAFTA superhighway that would transport cheap goods from China is coming up through Mexico and into the United States all the way up to the Canadian border. That is already under construction. So there's no question. I think you have to be a blind man not to see that this is a reality.
We have interviewed Judge Napolitano and recently Ron Paul, and we asked them this question, and I would like to ask you the same thing. What is your opinion on the Patriot Act and where we stand today with regards to our decline in civil liberties and our constitutional rights?
The Patriot Act is an egregious attempt, in my view, to circumvent the constitutional protections of the Bill of Rights in the name of, quote, keeping us secure. And I'm reminded of what Benjamin Franklin said, that those who give up essential liberty for temporary security deserve neither. And especially the Fourth Amendment has been seriously damaged by elements of the Patriot Act. As an example of that, the American people need to understand something. When the New York Governor Spitzer was, quote-unquote, outed for using these prostitutes that he'd been doing for, 10 years. Of course, I'm not defending the governor's actions by any shape, manner, or form. But what I want the American people to realize is that it was provisions within the Patriot Act, specifically provisions requiring banking institutions to notify the feds over certain transactions, that caused Governor Spitzer to be discovered and then eventually disgraced and removed from office. And yet we were told by President Bush and the various attorney generals that the Patriot Act would never be used against American citizens. It would only be used against foreign terrorists. Well, whatever Governor Spitzer's sins are, he's not a foreign terrorist, and yet it was provisions within the Patriot Act that was used against the governor of New York that resulted in all these things that we've read about. So all I'm trying to say is that we've seen that the individual liberties of the American people are being targeted by the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act is an attack upon the Fourth Amendment. It's an attack upon the personal liberties of the American people.
Do you think there is a concerted effort underway by the Bush administration to find a justification of any kind to attack Iran before he leaves office?
Well, I keep reading things to that intent. I don't know what he will do, obviously, what's in his mind to do. He has made it, I think, very apparent that he's not afraid to attack nations without the constitutional authority to do so. I hope he doesn't do that. I tell you what we ought to do in the Middle East is simply let Israel defend itself. That's the thing that, we keep trying to stick our nose into everybody's business and trying to manipulate the various and sundry affairs of each country, not just in the Middle East, but all over the world. If Iran is a threat to Israel, if Iran is a threat to the safety and the security of that region, there is no question that Israel has the capability to take care of that threat should it exist. And the problem is that Uncle Sam is the one that manipulates behind the scenes the strings in that region of the world. And so we just need to let, if there's a security threat to Israel, let Israel defend herself. And we need to extract our troops from Iraq. We need to stop playing policeman for the world.
Amen.
Pastor Baldwin, do you feel, as I do, that tyrants often disarm their populations